Hey everybody, welcome to the end of another week. It's been a very sporty week. On the international level, we are celebrating our Olympic athletes, and on a local level, we're watching 12-year-old kids beat the crap out of each other. Right? So, I mean, we're not going to show the video because we're going to spare everyone the profanity. If you want to see the video, it's on YouTube. It's all over the place. But group of 12-year-old kids, pee-wee hockey, playing each other. One kid goes after the other kid. Referee tries to step in, puts both hands on one kid. In the process, loses his balance, falls on the kid, breaks kid's wrist. Initial reactions from the parents was obviously they were quite angry. Reactions from the crowd, angrier. And just wondering, like, what's your initial reaction, or what have been your initial reactions seeing that video?
You know what, sadly enough, is not surprised. And this goes back to growing up in rural Manitoba, and, you know, the highest level of hockey I ever played was intermediate, and the RCMP would have to be on hand for most games. The level of irrationality, the fueling of these kids from parents who again are dreaming of
NHL stardom.
It just fuels a whole larger problem here. I'm taking this back to the parents. I'm not even looking at the referees or the kids. Okay. I'm looking at how these kids are entering minor hockey and what they feel is appropriate and what they have to do. The fact that there was even a fight at this age is remarkable. And I'm going to lay it down here right now. I think when it comes to amateur sports, especially for kids 16 and under, I think parents shouldn't even be in the gym. They shouldn't be in the arena. This isn't about them. They shouldn't be there to watch. They shouldn't be there to fuel the fire. This is about the kids. Kids shouldn't be having that kind of anger when they're playing. They should be out having a good time. And I dare say that if the parents were there and that pressure wasn't there in the stands, none of this stuff would ever happen.
That pressure starts even before 12 years old.
Of course.
So what do you do about that? Because it's really difficult to take that out of the equation. I know people, as soon as their kids hit like 6, 7 years old, you're playing hockey 5 times a week. I mean, if you're going to go for it, you've got to go for it when they're really young.
And sorry to dominate, but I'm just thinking, Kim, this goes back also to the Fargo incident. You know, I think we've reached a crisis. And crisis calls for extreme measures.
And you think it's worse now than it was?
I think it's definitely worse.
Because the money in the NHL is that much bigger, and the irrational dream is that much bigger.
I mean, also you see more of it, right? Because social media, everyone's recording everything. It's more commonplace. What frustrates me about it is I agree with you. It goes back to the parents is the biggest thing. I was like, they got in a fight. The ref separated it. Then they were skating to the boards, and that kid pushes the kid again, and then that was the kid that gets taken down. And I'm like, and you know, the parents go absolutely crazy, and it's expletive, like brutal. You almost, if you watch the video, it's just like a constant beep, right? And I'm like, I wonder why that kid is so angry. Like if those are the examples of what it is to be an adult, or what it is to be, and that's okay. That's how competitive you're allowed to be. I'm sad how that kid's gonna turn out.
I think you might have even recalled, Kim, we were talking about one of our recent mobiles here on Shaw TV, which was the Voyageur Ringette tournament. I was astounded at the attitude of the parents. The girls would exit the dressing room. They'd all been, warming up and having a good time. They were playing music and dancing out in the alleyway before heading onto the ice. But once they got onto the ice, there were parents ringing bells and blowing horns and yelling at referees and stuff like that. And you think, that has got to be the source, I think.
Is pressure a necessary part of sport? I mean, when you think of, like in the Olympics, you think of some of these athletes who are winning the gold medals. They're not doing it just with positive attitudes. I mean, there's some pretty harsh pressures involved.
Sure.
I'm definitely not saying that it deserves, exploits in the arena, but just to take that out completely, is that realistic?
No. I think, though, just the influence that parents have on the day-to-day experience, that's the part that concerns me the most.
So then what happens to the parents that really, truly are there to be fans? Like, really, it sounds simple. Let the kids play, let the refs ref, let the parents just be fans. If everybody did their job, there'd be no problem. But of course, everybody thinks they're better than the rest. One parent thinks they're a better fan if I cheer my kid on. And it all has a trickle effect. But what are and it may be just a small group of dedicated parents that drive their kids at 6 a.m. every day to practice, and they're not allowed to see their son or daughter
But who's it all
compete.
about? who is this experience for? And that's my big question.
Yeah. Well, and that could be a spill, and the kid might want their parents there too. So, I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule. Unfortunately, it takes only a few to paint an ugly picture. Then it has to be.
Well, and you're talking
blanket
about parents being in someone's corner, and that's fine. Parents being there and being up with a sign and cheering, that's okay. But this, for example, was just. This was above and beyond. Nobody was cheering.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
This isn't one of those
It's not-
isolated incidents.
No,
this is happening again and again, and has been. I know I'm from rural Manitoba as well, and seriousness around hockey.
And you said extreme measures need to be taken, and one of those measures, it's not very extreme in my opinion, is the Respect in Sport program. It's an online course. And for me, that's just kind of like preaching to the choir, right? Like I feel like the people who are going to take that course and actually get something out of it are the parents who, like you said, are there for good intentions, who are calm and supportive and aren't swearing at a 12-year-old's hockey game. But in Calgary, it's actually it's violence in the stands has actually dropped. They say, since the program was implemented. So.
Oh, and I fully applaud that course. I think that's a wonderful thing. And let's be clear too, this isn't just a hockey issue. As you all know, my favorite sport, of course, is volleyball, and I've coached quite a bit and was refereeing. It was actually in Whitehorse of all places, up in the Yukon. Yukon Championships. I literally, referees of course are up in a stand in volleyball. I literally had a parent come down and tug me on the pant leg to dispute a call that I had made. And I thought, this is so
Are you
messed
just gonna say
up.
to me like, oh, you know what? Right, you know what? This
The point's
person
good.
says, my mistake.
They win.
Like, what are they expecting? They just are trying to create a controversy. They're just trying to start a fight, which has become something that we just expect. It's part of the experience. Like people go there looking, like it's almost like the people who go to a bar looking for a fight. The same thing with going to a hockey game, and that's part of the experience. Is who am I going to get into it with? And one person, all it takes is the wrong look or the wrong push or the wrong move, and it
What scares me
explodes.
the most too about that is, okay, so they were cheering, they were yelling, they weren't cheering, let's clarify that. They were screaming at the ref, and because they did something to their child. What happened 2 games earlier when that kid screwed up a pass or that kid missed a shot? And in any sport, maybe that yelling is now going directly right at the kid, but instead of being in an arena, it's in the living room or it's in the car on the way home in front of their friends. So I'm like, then it goes into like the bullying almost too, right? Like that, if they're that mad over what I think looked like an accident, but whatever, think how mad it is. It's not that game. I think about all the other games. And you're right, it's every sport. Like I grew up in figure skating, so there's definitely skating moms. There's parents in general. Moms tend to be usually the worst, but in figure skating anyways. And in dance, there's a show even called Dance Moms that talks about how bad it is. Like,
And I really think maybe a solution or a start to a good, healthy way of all this is to really secure the rights for refs and really make the whole reffing experience better. Maybe they get paid more, and maybe there's zero tolerance for any kind of yelling or abuse to the ref. Like what happened, parents used to get kicked out of the arena. Why weren't some of these parents like exited out?
Yeah, obviously
that's a
things
great
had
point.
things had escalated. That's for sure.
That's a great point to leave it on for sure. I'm glad that you brought that up. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about that international level sports as well.